After I tell you about this urban legend, you are probably never going to want to walk into the woods ever again. And if you ever hear a baby crying there, run. Hello and welcome back, or welcome to my channel. If you don't know what's going on here, I am a horror artist and I like to draw what I talk about in the videos. Nothing in these videos are meant to be insensitive to anyone that is mentioned in them, but I will be accountable for my art. But I have warnings on the front of this video, so if you are a sensitive person, I recommend not coming anywhere near my channel. You have been warned. I don't want to hear any whinging. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Tiyanak, and I'm also going to then go on to tangents about other particular demonoid things that are very similar to the Tiyanak. Now, if you don't know what a Tiyanak is, it's part of the Filipino mythology and is complete nightmare fuel. A Tiyanak is said to be a vampire-type creature that takes on the form of a toddler or baby to lure people to it by acting vulnerable and mimicking the cries of a baby, so people will come to its aid, only to transform into its true form, then mauls, eats, and kills the victim. It pretends to be an abandoned baby out in the woods or remote places. So let's delve into some of the characteristics and appearances of these malevolent demons. This entity takes on the form of a newborn baby, toddler or child, as I mentioned before. While keeping the form of a baby, it will show fangs and sharp claws. Its true form has a lot of various deformities, such as a shorter leg than the other, no nose, pointed ears, looks like an old man or goblin with extremely wrinkly skin, and finds it hard to move around for hunting, so it takes on the form of a baby to lure the victims to it. It's also quite small and bald. The folklore talks about the Tiyanaks being the vengeful demons of dead babies that were abandoned in the forests, murdered babies, unbaptized babies that died, or aborted fetuses coming back to seek revenge. They can also be the offspring of a human and demon, making a hybrid bred to kill. Okay, so this part of the mythology did make me laugh. To keep a Tiyanak from luring you and attacking you, you must take off your clothes and put them on inside out. Apparently the Tiyanak will think this is absolutely hilarious and leave the victim alone. Okay. Also, other methods of making loud noises to keep these things at bay is clanging metal together, lighting firecrackers, and other noisy devices like that will ward off this evil demon / spirit. Use of garlic, salt, and other holy sacred objects repel them as well. If you can name one of these entities or know who it was when it was alive, you can say its name to it and it will bring it peace while lighting a white candle to help the evil spirit move on into the afterlife. The Mantiyanak people of Mindanao, they believe the Tiyanak is created after a mother dies before giving birth. This makes the unborn child born into the ground and making it a creature of the earth. Also in the same Mindanaoian mythology, they have a creature called a Mantiyanak, which is a female entity with its stomach cut open that reveals its unborn child. This entity apparently is very evil and sees men as the threat, as she blames men for being pregnant and thinks she would still be alive if it wasn't for being pregnant. She apparently is terrified of other women and at night rips the genitalia from sleeping men with her long, sharp claws. Another entity is called the Kuntilanak, which is apparently a female that is like a vampire and was once a mother who was killed while being pregnant. She has pale skin, red eyes, black long hair, long sharp fingernails, and she lures men in, terrifies them, then kills them. She has been described as wearing blood-soaked clothes, which is a white dress. Why are the dresses always white? And she needs human blood and organs to survive and live in trees. So many other different cultures have their own versions of these demon children or women. The Aztecs' Tiyanak equivalent is called a Chaneques and is part of the Mexican folklore. They appear as a small sprite being that are associated with the underworld. They also inhabit forests. They have dark brown skin, between 1 to 20 meters tall, massive heads, and deformities with a tail. They are said to steal your soul if you go anywhere near their territory. Once your soul is stolen by one of these creatures, you have to undergo a ritual to get it back from underground, which is where they store it. If this isn't successful, the victim will become ill and die. Chaneques can form into children to distract people and make them wander off and disappear for days on end, with the victims having no recollection of what happened or where they have been. Changelings are from a folklore throughout Europe that describes them being human-like creatures, many believing they are fairies. Changelings have odd behaviour and suffer from deformities. These children have a fierce appetite, resemble an imp, and disturb their human parents. Children with disabilities are said to be changelings and get treated terribly in superstitious communities. A notorious case was of Bridget Clary in 1895. This Irish woman fell ill for quite a few days with bronchitis, and her doctor said that she was grave and wanted her last rites read to her. She ended up being killed by her husband, who burned her to death after he thought she was a changeling. Her husband, Michael Cleary, stated to the police that his wife had been abducted by fairies and was replaced with a changeling. But it wasn't only Michael that thought she was a changeling. Her father also thought it as well. They threw urine on her and carried her over to the fireplace to remove the fairy. Her body was found in a shallow grave, and Michael was charged and sent to prison for 15 years. Getting back to the subject of Filipino folklore, another creature of the region is called an aswang, a cryptid that is a shapeshifter that is of werewolf and vampire cross descent. This was the most feared mythical creature. An aswang's appearance varies from person to person, but the main thing that is described by each person is that they transform into cats, pigs, birds, and dogs at night. They like to feast on fetuses and children, and they also like to suck fetuses directly out of the mother. They are thin and can hide behind skinny objects, like for example light posts, and they make a noise like a tick-tick when they are in pursuit of their prey. They can steal corpses from morgues and live people out of homes and replace them with replicas made out of trees or plant matter. Even in the Philippines today, newborns still get left abandoned in all sorts of places, from women who have given birth to a child from either their rapist or if they were unmarried. Women are apparently terrified of the folklore, but it doesn't stop them from abandoning their babies and take the risk. There is a lot of mythology and folklore in the Philippines and also in other countries around the world, so by all means go knock yourself out. What do you think about this folklore? Have you heard any other details in regards to it? Are you of Filipino descent and know more about it? What goes on with the so-called the mythology of this Tiyanak and the other stuff that is mentioned? Let me know in the comments below. I love to hear more information and more stories on people who are of that descent, and yeah, they know more about it than I do and know more details. So the illustration that I decided to do for this video today was my own interpretation and my vision that I had for the Tiyanak, sort of crossing it over into like a corpse type thing as well, with horrendous deformities and some horrible like creatures coming out of its head. It's got fangs, it's got red eyes with a touch of yellow in it, it's got one huge long arm, and it's got a stump on the other. It's got one disgusting long leg with also more creature type tentacles coming out of it, and then on the other leg it's like, well, it's not even normal into proportion, but it looks like it's been stuck together with a few limbs as well, just to really portray the like the complete hideousness of this so-called being and the fact that it has all these like crazy deformities. And then I decided to put a couple of monster heads that it's standing on below, and a couple of sort of hybrid type limbs and that scattered on the ground with a bit of blood, just to represent that this thing is just, you know, luring these things to it so it can just maul them. But I decided to, instead of using humans, I decided to use monsters. If I don't draw horrible things, I don't get my head cleansed, alright? So that's why I do what I do. I actually had someone in the comments tell me to draw more things in proportion and they would buy my work, but I'm sorry, I don't draw things in proportion because it doesn't make me happy. I draw creatures and hybrids and hideous things, so that's never going to happen or change, because like I said before, if I can't get these images out of my head, drawn on paper, I don't have my head cleansed. I need to have my head, you know, I need to feel better, and I need to get this stuff out of me onto paper. Drawing nice things does not help my soul. I'm sorry. And the prints will be available for this particular illustration on my Redbubble store. I have been slack again, and I have slipped behind in uploading my stuff to Redbubble. I can't reiterate enough that I struggle with managing my time. I am shocking. I'm trying to do better. I just can't do it at the moment. I've got too much shit going on at the moment. I'm also waiting on a new computer to upgrade my 10-year-old machine that I'm working on at the moment. So yeah, I've got to get rid of it because editing videos is taking me way too long to render because this machine is 10 years old. So it's going to be even worse. My time management skills are going to be even worse once that happens, because I have to transport everything across, and that's in itself is going to be a nightmare. That is my illustration. Hopefully you enjoyed some of the information that I have in this video for today. Hopefully you enjoyed the illustration. Hopefully you watch the next couple of minutes of what's left of this illustration and what's left of this video to see my vision of a Tiyanak that I took out of my head and put on paper, see how it turns out. And if you like this kind of content, by all means, like, subscribe if you haven't done already, turn on notifications. If you want to stay in touch with when I upload on Saturdays/Sundays. It's Sundays here in Australia where I live. It's Saturdays in the other parts of the world because I live in the future. With that being said, I am out of here, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!